Is again, and I'm doing an interview with Giovanni Ferri from LUMSA University, and we are here at the meeting of the Trade for SD project, which is a EC European Union Horizon Research project. I have only 4 questions to you. We're trying to be very, very short. The first question is, of course, can you shortly introduce yourself and how you are linked to the project? Because I know that you are part of the advisory board, and maybe you can give a short explanation of who you are, what is your background, and how you are linked to the Trade for SD.
Okay. Well, I'm very honored to be part of this project, even though my involvement is limited to being part of the advisory board and having participated in this event today and having participated in a webinar and possibly other events in the future. So my involvement is not deep, but I enjoy having exchanges with Professor Attila at the end of the project, and with other partners. I just had a long conversation with Professor Boris Steiner. And my view is that trade for sustainable development is a fundamental part of the green transition that has been accelerated in the European Union lately since the introduction of the European Green Deal and Next Generation EU. And so it will be important to understand what will be the implications of sustainable development policies for trade and vice versa, what trade must do in order to become sustainable. My approach to sustainability has started a long time ago when I started working on the topic about 15 years ago, and since then I have developed some teaching instruments like the Mastery Management of Sustainable Development Goals that I started at the University LUMSA in Rome, which in the first 6 editions has graduated about 100 people from 45 different countries. And we being sustainable managers, we need to envisage the future in terms of endowing the economic system and with key figures that will be able to bring the sustainable development goals and sustainable development inside the firms, inside the institutions, inside the ONG, the NGOs and so forth. So this is more or less my approach.
Thanks. We heard today that Attila Jambo did a presentation, and he said that agriculture is kind of resilient compared to other elements of trade. This project looks at various domains of the trade, and one of them is agriculture. But how do you think climate change is impacting agriculture? Is it possible that agriculture is able to respond to the changing climate, like droughts, or there was this recent flooding in the north part of Italy? How this impacts trade and trade policies? Is there something that trade policies can help the farmers, for instance, to have a better reaction on this externality?
This is a huge question. Agriculture is very important in many respects for leading the sustainable development transition. Why? In the first place, because if we transform agriculture into something that produces products for the local consumption, we abate the CO2 emissions due to transports. Now, this might be interfering with trade, actually. Trade in agriculture may be decreased over time because of the need to save on CO2 emissions. And actually, we were discussing with Professor Jambo about this earlier on, and this might provide a justification for the common agricultural policy, a new justification, which is environmental based rather than based on the idea of giving a piece of cake to people in the agricultural sector. But agriculture is much more than that, and it's not only trade. And agriculture is even more important for helping stabilize our everyday life in order to attenuate the effects of the climate crisis. The climate crisis is hitting very hard. This is what happened. We had a drought for a few months and then 2 floodings in Emilia-Romagna. But something like that happened 3 years ago, if I'm not wrong, in Germany, in Central Europe. And so this is becoming more and more common as we move on. Unfortunately, the climate crisis is there. And what can agriculture do in order to fight against the climate crisis and protect humans from the risks that are involved with the climate crisis? Well, in the first place, agriculture can do a lot in order to save water, changing technologies, using less water-intensive technologies. It can also, the agricultural sector, widely speaking, can be part of a new way of re-greening our cities. We are experiencing the possibility of having small pools in the cities. In every apartment building there may be some green, and that is not just agriculture in a strict sense, but it is something that changes the microclimate in the building. It's something that can help move towards a new balance between city and countryside, human-made manufacturing and services, and agriculture at the same time.
Interesting that you mentioned that how agriculture can help connecting people in rural and the urban areas. It's a very interesting point. When our project started, the COVID pandemic just hit Europe and the globe. How do you think, what was changed in the trade due to COVID? Was there any, let's say, positive impact of the COVID pandemic in trade? What's your view on that?
I can see only some indirect positive effects. I'm not talking about the negative effects because they are quite visible. The positive effect may be that we learned how to do our shopping online more than we did before, and this is boosting trade because everybody of us went to Amazon or other platforms in order to do our shopping. And we learned to do that, even though, or we intensified the way we were doing it.
Mm-hmm. I know you were attending a lot of research projects. You are from a university, and I guess you were also taking part in a lot of EU co-funded projects. What would be your recommendation to us? How we can best bring the outcomes of this project to the decision makers? Because eventually we would like to have an impact.
Thank you very much, Sultan, for bringing out this issue, which is the most important perhaps. When you run a project like this, you want to be to have an impact, and really I would suggest having a double approach. One is top-down and the other one is bottom-up. The top-down approach is trying to, as much as we can, to be suggesting to the authorities, those who are in charge of making the policy choices. Maybe they listen, maybe they don't. But on the other hand, I would suggest finding ways to communicate with simple words our main results to people in the street.